Have you ever really stopped to think about it? The incredible, almost magical journey a sound takes? I mean, from a physical vibration in the air, all the way through circuits and code, to become the music you're hearing in your headphones right now? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and unpack how digital audio actually works. It all boils down to this one question, right? How does something as real and physical as the pluck of a guitar string transform into a digital file you can listen to anywhere, anytime? That is the exact journey we're about to go on. Okay, so before we can even get to the digital stuff, we have to start in the real world, the physical, or as we call it, the analog world. And at its heart, sound is just a vibration. That's it. It's a pressure wave moving through the air, and our ears are these amazing little detectors that pick it up. And here's the wild part. Every single sound you have ever heard, from a tiny whisper to a full-blown orchestra, can be broken down into just two simple things. You've got amplitude, which is just the height of the wave, and you've got frequency, which is how fast that wave is wiggling back and forth. Honestly, that's pretty much the whole story of sound in the physical world. So, our brains are these incredible translators. They take these physical properties and turn them into something we experience. See the wave's frequency? That's what our brain interprets as pitch, how high or low a note sounds. And the amplitude? That becomes what we call loudness or volume. It's this perfect direct link between the physics of a wave and what we actually hear. Now, when we talk about loudness, we use this thing called the decibel scale. And it's a little quirky because it's built to match how our ears work. It's not a simple 1+1 scale. Instead, every 10 decibel jump feels about twice as loud to us. That's why the jump from a quiet room to a library doesn't feel like a big deal, but the jump from a rock concert to a jet engine feels absolutely massive. All right, so we've got our physical sound wave. Now for the most important part of this whole journey. How in the world do we capture that smooth, analog wave and translate it into the language of computers, which is just numbers? So here's the whole game plan in one picture. A microphone acts like a mechanical ear, right? It captures the wave. Then the real magic happens in this little box called an analog to digital converter, the ADC. That's the translator. And then, at the very end, to actually hear it, a digital to analog converter, or DAC, does the exact opposite. It turns those numbers back into a wave your speakers can play. So let's focus on that ADC, because this is the moment. This is the exact point where a smooth, flowing, continuous sound wave from the real world gets chopped up into a bunch of separate little numbers, or samples, that a computer can finally understand. And this whole conversion process really boils down to two key ideas. First up is sampling. Think of it like a filmmaker's flipbook. The more pictures or frames you draw per second, the smoother the animation looks. Same idea in audio. The more snapshots we take of the sound wave, the more accurate it's going to be. And the second idea is bit depth. Now, if sampling is how many snapshots we take, bit depth is how good our drawing tools are for each one. A low bit depth is like having just a black and a white crayon. But a high bit depth, that's like having millions of colors, letting you capture all the subtle shades and details in each measurement. And just to give you some perspective, for what we call standard CD quality audio, that sound wave is measured 44,100 times every single second. It's incredible. This speed is what we call the sample rate, or 44.1 kilohertz. And it's not some random number. It was chosen very carefully because it's just fast enough to capture every single frequency the human ear can possibly hear. So now we've got this perfect digital copy of our sound. Awesome. Except there's a big problem. The file is huge. And this brings us to the central battle in all of digital audio, the constant tug of war between perfect, pristine quality and a file size that's actually small enough to deal with. And you can see this trade-off playing out when you look at different audio files. At one extreme, you've got WAV files. They're totally uncompressed, perfect digital copies, but they are gigantic. And then, way over on the other side, you've got formats like MP3 and AAC, which are super tiny and perfect for streaming over the internet. And this gets to the big idea of lossless versus lossy compression. Lossless formats like FLAC are super clever. They shrink the file without throwing away any of the original information, kind of like a zip file, but for audio. Lossy formats like MP3, though, they get the file size way down by permanently, and I mean permanently, deleting parts of the audio data. And this is really the most important thing to remember about lossy files. Once that audio data is gone, you can never, ever get it back. It's gone forever. And if you take an MP3 and try to save it as another MP3, you're just throwing away even more information. The damage just keeps adding up.
So how does this even work? It's not just randomly deleting stuff. Lossy compression is incredibly smart. It's almost like a magic trick. It uses the science of how we hear, it's called psychoacoustics, to figure out what we won't miss. For instance, let's say a super loud kick drum and a really quiet cymbal happen at the exact same time. Your brain is going to focus on the kick drum, and you probably won't even notice the cymbal. So the MP3 encoder knows this, and it just deletes the cymbal data. You save a ton of space, and you probably never even knew it was gone. So why does all this technical jargon matter to you? Well, because you are dealing with this compression trade-off every single day, especially when you stream music. I mean, think about it. Every time you hit play on Spotify or Apple Music, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening behind the scenes. The service is making a split-second decision. It's looking at your internet speed and trying to balance sending you music instantly without any buffering against giving you the absolute best audio quality possible. It's a constant live negotiation that's happening just for you. And in fact, these services actually put the choice right in your hands. You can go into the settings and choose a lower quality to save your mobile data, or you can crank it all the way up to high quality when you're on a good Wi-Fi connection and you want the best possible experience. You are personally managing that quality versus file size trade-off. This whole journey, from a wave in the air to the sound in your headphones, it's already pretty mind-blowing. But believe me, it is not slowing down. The future of digital audio is about to get even wilder. Yeah, we're moving way beyond just simple stereo sound. The next big frontier is all about creating audio experiences that are way more immersive, more intelligent, and more customized to us and our surroundings than anything we've had before. We're already seeing this with stuff like spatial audio, right? It makes it feel like the sound is happening all around you, not just coming from inside your head. We have AI now that can perfectly clean up a noisy old recording or even create brand new music from scratch. And for the real audio nerds out there, high-resolution audio is delivering sound quality that's technically even better than a CD. So that kind of leaves us with one final thought. The journey of a sound used to stop right at our ears. But as this technology makes audio smarter, more three-dimensional, it's not just about hearing music anymore, it's about actually stepping inside it. And you have to wonder, how is that going to change the art people create? And how will it change the way we experience the world around us?